Are you ready for the best spaghetti sauce you've ever tasted? And I'm not competing with the Italians. This is a good old Southern spaghetti sauce, and you're gonna love it. I'm gonna show you how to make it. All right, first thing we're gonna do is chop up an onion. I've already got peppers chopped up, which is bell pepper. So you're gonna use one onion. And if you kind of go at a slant down the sides, when you go down the side of the onion, then it gets it in a really good position where you don't have to go back and chop a lot. That's plenty of onion. So you just need about, it just says an onion chop in your spaghetti. And I get the bigger pieces chopped up just because it's spaghetti. Of course, when it gets cooked, you know it's going to be a lot smaller anyway. All right, we could use that on something else. And add a little olive oil to our skillet, just a little. The ground beef's going to have plenty, and we're going to have to drain it anyway. There's a little onion piece of the whole. Get all this onion in there. Now, the peppers I have were frozen, where I chopped them up and bought them on sale to save money. So I got pretty colorful ones for my spaghetti. And those are going to go in. Now you can saute this part and then do your ground beef so that you can just drain the ground beef if you want to. And I might just do that today. So we'll just saute this. And as we're sauteing this, I think what I'm going to do is cut up some mushrooms. So one of my secret ingredients for my spaghetti sauce is using marinated mushrooms, some of the juice from these, and also using some beef broth, okay? Most people don't do that. I actually make it out of bouillon, and boy, does it add a lot of flavor to your spaghetti. So I was going to show you this little gadget. Somebody sent me this, and for these cans that are hard to open, this is the side you use, and you just put a little pressure on it, and it pops up the middle, and then you can open the can or the jar for jars. You can open that jar right up. And I'm going to reach in here and get these. Now, these are always whole little mushrooms. And there's a couple of different brands that carry these, and they're really tasty. Any kind of marinated mushroom. Lots of times you'll see garlic pieces in the jar. This is Vigo. This is Vigo, and I've seen Cento. I think it's Cento. And there's different brands of it. So when you're in the grocery store, just try to look for the mushrooms and artichokes and things like that, and you should be able to find at least one brand of marinated mushroom. They're usually in a vinegar marinade, so if you can't find these, no worries. Grab you a can of chopped up mushrooms, then you don't have to chop them up, and drain them, and then put in about a tablespoon of vinegar, and make sure you get your fresh garlic in there, which we're going to use anyway in this recipe, and you should be in good shape. But that little hint of vinegar flavor does add to this tasty dish. And I tell you to chop up at about 8 ounces of mushrooms, which is equivalent to one of those small can of mushrooms. And then we're going to put in about a tablespoon of the marinated juice. And I like to cut these up small enough that they're going to look good in spaghetti. So we're just going to add just a little bit of this marinated juice in with our mushrooms, and that'll be good in our spaghetti sauce. Now, while I've got you right here, we're going to go over some of the ingredients, and that is you're going to use a teaspoon of salt, a half teaspoon of black pepper. You're going to use a tablespoon of sugar, your mushrooms that we just prepped. You're going to use a tablespoon of Italian seasoning, a tablespoon of some sort of salad blend seasoning without salt. You're going to use an 8-ounce tomato paste. We're going to be putting in a cup of boiling water, or hot water's fine, with some bouillon, and I'll tell you how much of that in a minute. And then you're going to use 28 ounces of tomatoes, chopped, diced tomatoes. And so that's some of the good ingredients. Let's get over here and check out these onions and peppers. I think they're in good shape. I'm going to pour these up into this bowl, and then we're going to add our ground beef and brown it. And all of our utensils and kitchen items, if you see something you think that you would like to have, because some of them are really cool, like that little gadget that opens the jars, and they're super cheap too, they're not expensive, visit our store. All you have to do is go to our website at www.collardvalleycooks.com. Now we're going to use about 1.5 pounds of this ground chuck. It's 80-20, so it's up to you if it's an 80-20. It was on the best sale, so that's what I got. If you want to add a little extra in there, you can. It's up to you how much meat you want in your spaghetti sauce. Okay, I think that's about 1.5 pounds. We're going to brown this up. Okay, we're going to put in some fresh garlic today. If for some reason you don't have fresh, you can use garlic powder. If you are not using fresh and you're using garlic powder, I would recommend, some of this garlic has the tiniest little cloves. I would recommend that you use a teaspoon of garlic powder. All right, we're going to press these a little bit so that I can peel them just a little bit. We're going to put them in a garlic press and add them to our spaghetti sauce. All right, this is doing good. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. Now that we're caught up with our prepping, we're going to get this browned up and drained. Start our spaghetti sauce. It's going to be delicious. I'm going to get out a pot for our spaghetti sauce because I'm not going to make it in the skillet. Now I like to drain the grease off of this. I usually just scoot it over to start with. And I use paper towels, and I just throw them away. And I learned this later by viewers. I'd never done this before. And you absolutely don't want to pour this down your sink. I know a lot of young cooks probably don't know any better than to do that. So what you want to do is take your grease and discard it. Now, if that cools off to room temperature, it's going to get hard because the grease off of beef actually gets hard, and that's why you don't want to put it down the sink, because it will stop up your pipes. Now, at this point, you can just pick it up and tilt it some so that what's underneath here will drain to that side. And this is just a Tammy tip that I learned from viewers. Good old Tammy tip. And yes, I did touch the raw ground beef with this and touch this again, but we're about to put it all in a pot and cook it. It's, you know, it's absolutely fine to do that. When you've still got something that has got to cook longer. Okay. So we're just going to rub as much of that out of there as we can. Put it into here. And now we're going to get started on our spaghetti sauce, the super delicious spaghetti sauce that everybody loves. All right, I'm going to put my pot right here, and we're going to turn it on. We're going to add our pepper and onion, our ground beef, the 28-ounce can of diced tomato. If you don't have a 28-ounce can and you've got 2 of the standard size cans, you can use those instead. And if you want petite diced, instead of the larger pieces in your spaghetti, of course, get you the petite diced tomatoes. We like them, so it doesn't really matter to us which one it is. You're going to add your marinated mushrooms and the juice that you put in there with them. Tablespoon of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, and a half teaspoon of black pepper. All right, we're going to use a tablespoon of Italian seasoning and a tablespoon of Mrs. Dash because that's really close to a salad blend with no salt. I've got Lighthouse freeze-dried blend in the recipe, but of course you can substitute a spice to one you already have in your cabinet. That's not a big deal at all, okay? Now, I tell you in the recipe book, in a 2-cup measuring cup, put in a cup of hot water. I tell you to add 3 beef bouillon cubes, and those are the Knorr size, which are about that big. So what we're going to do, instead of using beef bouillon cubes, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of beef bouillon granules. If you have a cookbook and you want to substitute those cubes to granules, I would say about 2 tablespoons of granules would equal 3 of those large cubes. And you're going to mix this up. And it's not going to hurt if you put a little extra in there. It's good stuff. Now, I use Knorr bouillon, if you want to know what brand I use. And then you're going to put in your tomato paste. And you're going to whisk all of this together. So your paste is going to be whisked in with that hot water and beef bouillon. And y'all, this is makes it so good. I remember when I was a kid, I had a neighbor across the street. My mother never used tomato paste, never. And every time she would make spaghetti, I would get off the bus, and if she was starting dinner, which she did early, she started her dinner early. If she ever made spaghetti, I was very interested in watching her because she would use tomato paste. And I'd never seen my mama use it. And so not only was I the kind of kid that watched mama, I was also the kind of kid that even watched my neighbor cook, my granny cook, my mama cook. I was just very interested in cooking. So you're just going to whisk this until it's nice and blended. And then we're going to pour it into our sauce. You got to kind of be gentle with it at first to get that paste started mixing in there good, or you'll splatter it all over the place. Now it's good and blended. We're going to pour it into our pot. This is the creamy, delicious, one of the main secrets of my spaghetti sauce as well. Y'all remember that I'm not Italian. I'm just a good old Southern girl, and I put this recipe together, and to me, it's the best tasting spaghetti on the planet. All right, let's get this mixed up. Now you can see that it's going to be nice and creamy and full of goodness, and all we've got to do now is add our garlic, which is one of the delicious things too about the spaghetti sauce. Having fresh garlic, but like I said, if you don't have any fresh, no problem. So we're going to put our garlic in the press. I may have to do it in 2 sections. We'll see. 2 large cloves of garlic or 3 medium will be delicious. I like to press it because then you get a lot of flavor. We're going to mix that in, and we're going to simmer this. Down on low. Low and slow, and it'll be good. All right, the spaghetti's been on here simmering. We're going to take a look at it. And it smells so good. You can tell it's the perfect consistency to pour over your pasta. And we'll be making our pasta and getting this served up soon. All right, we got our water boiling for our pasta. And I decided to use spaghetti because I got plenty of it instead of angel hair. And it's just me and Chris eating. I'll go ahead and make a little bit more so we have leftovers. And you're going to put a little salt in it, but you're not supposed to put oil in your pasta water. Okay, a lot of people think you are, but it keeps the sauce from sticking to your pasta. So do not put any oil in there, just put a little salt in there, and that's all you do. We're going to boil it per the package directions. All right, we are ready to make some spaghetti. I forgot to turn my bread on. I always put my bread in this air fryer on 400 degrees for 6 minutes, and it makes it nice and toasty brown. We're going to drain our pasta. Because I want to save some of the water, I had to be careful. And do that. I'm just going to save a little bit of it in case it gets, I need to add it back in there. Keep it from getting dry. I'll just throw it back in here. Let me show it to you. Just leave a little bit of water down in the bottom of your pot. For after you drain it. And that way it won't get all stuck together. And a lot of people put the butter in there, and that's what they use to keep it from getting stuck together. But if you do that, like I said, your pasta will actually be slippery and the sauce won't stick to it good. You don't want to use oil on any kind of pasta. Starchy water is starchy, so it works good. All right. As soon as our bread is done, we're going to make us a plate. This recipe's in our Volume 1 cookbook on page 26. It is called Super Good Spaghetti, and I have it named on the website Super Good Spaghetti. I also have it named Secret Spaghetti Sauce because one of our videos, I called it Secret Spaghetti Sauce, but it's the same recipe. All right, got nice and toasty in 4 minutes at 400 degrees. Looks good. We are going to plate us up a plate. Let me get a pasta bowl. That could be mine. Get Chris a big spoonful. A little extra. There we have it. Yummy yum. All right, let's get over here and get some sauce on them. Best spaghetti ever. Now, if you like parm, we need to get out some parm, I guess, because Chris really likes it. Parmesan cheese. I like a little bit of sauce. Chris likes a lot of sauce, don't you? Baby. He's a sauce man. Our spaghetti bowls. Good thing about me and Chris is if we don't eat it all, we can put it in a leftover bowl for tomorrow. And it'll be delish. Spaghetti is the bomb leftover. And this spaghetti sauce is especially good leftover. So this is mine. I'm going to give it a try for y'all. It's a really rich spaghetti sauce. It is so good. Y'all, we had a pastor we used to be really good friends with out of town. He's out of town from us now. But he did not like spaghetti. And I went over there one evening and we were feeding our Sunday school class. And he was like, well, I'm not going to eat spaghetti. Angie has something else for me to eat. And I said, okay. And he tried it and he said, I love your spaghetti. So I thought that was really interesting that he really liked my spaghetti. It is quite different than a traditional spaghetti sauce. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. That recipe never disappoints. Boy, is it good. If you've tried our super spaghetti sauce or our secret spaghetti sauce, let everybody know in the comments if you liked it. It is super delicious. We thank you for watching Collard Valley Cooks. Y'all come back and see us. We'll see you next time. Bye. I love ya.